بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا صاحبي السجن أأرباب متفرقون خير أم الله الواحد القهار ما تعبدون من دونه إلا أسماء سميتموها أنتم وآباؤكم ما أنزل الله بها من سلطان إن الحكم إلا لله أمر ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه ذلك الدين القيم ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. يا صاحبي السجن أما أحدكما فيسقي ربه خمرا وأما الآخر فيصلب فتأكل الطير من رأسه قضي الأمر الذي فيه تستفتيان. وقال للذي ظن أنه ناج منهما اذكرني عند ربك فأنساه الشيطان ذكر ربه فلبث في السجن بضع سنين. وقال الملك إني أرى 7 بقرات سمان يأكلهن 7 عجاف و7 سنبلات خضر وأخر يابسات يا أيها الملأ أفتوني في رؤياي إن كنتم للرؤيا تعبرون. قالوا أضغاث أحلام وما نحن بتأويل الأحلام بعالمين. وقال الذي نجا منهما وادكر بعد أمة أنا أنبئكم بتأويله فأرسلون. يوسف أيها الصديق أفتنا في 7 بقرات سمان يأكلهن 7 عجاف و7 سنبلات خضر وأخر يابسات لعلي أرجع إلى الناس لعلهم يعلمون. قال تزرعون 7 سنين دأبا فما حصدتم فذروه في سنبله إلا قليلا مما تأكلون. ثم يأتي من بعد ذلك 7 شداد يأكلن ما قدمتم لهن إلا قليلا مما تحصنون. ثم يأتي من بعد ذلك عام فيه يغاث الناس وفيه يعصرون. وقال الملك ائتوني به فلما جاءه الرسول قال ارجع إلى ربك فاسأله ما بال النسوة اللاتي قطعن أيديهن إن ربي بكيدهن عليم. قال ما خطبكن إذ راوتن يوسف عن نفسه قلنا حاش لله ما علمنا عليه من سوء. قالت امرأة العزيز الآن حصحص الحق أنا راودته عن نفسه وإنه لمن الصادقين. ذلك ليعلم أني لم أخنه بالغيب وأن الله لا يهدي كيد الخائنين. وما أبرئ نفسي إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء إلا ما رحم ربي إن ربي غفور رحيم. وقال الملك ائتوني به أستخلصه لنفسي، فلما كلمه قال إنك اليوم لدينا مكين أمين. قال اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم. وكذلك مكنا ليوسف في الأرض يتبوأ منها حيث يشاء نصيب برحمتنا من نشاء ولا نضيع أجر المحسنين. ولأجر الآخرة خير للذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون.
يمم خراسان واقصد ظلها الرحبا، وأنشد بها من قريض الشعر ما عذبا، وحيها تربة تسمو بروعتها، فها هنا المجد صرح ينطح الشهبا، مجد الرضا من على هام الزمان له تاج، فسبحان من أعطى ومن وهبا. سبط النبي وفرع من أرومته، قد شرف الله فيه العجم والعربا، منزه عن صفات النقص طاهرة، منه الثياب تسامى عزة وإبا، من معشرين هم لهذا الخلق سادته، من حبهم في كتاب الله قد وجبا. آل الرسول وهل تحصى مناقبهم عدا، وهل يبلغ المعشار من كتبا، وهل يحيط بماء البحر من غرفت كفاه، والبحر زخار وما نضبا. سر الوجود فلولاهم لما برأ الله الخلائق لا شمسا ولا قطبا، كانوا البدور بعرش الله محدقة، أنوارهم تكشف الظلماء والحجبا، من قبل آدم للباري تسبحه، حتى تحول فيه النور والتهبا، وحين تسجد أملاك السماء له، كانوا هم السبب المنشود مطلبا. هذا الفخار فأين المدعي كذبا، وهل يسوى برأس أبترا ذنبا. آل النبي وأبناء الوصي، فقد طابوا بذلك أما برة وأبا. أبا الجواد وحسبي أنا بثكها، عواطف الحب لا زورا ولا كذبا. نهلتها فزكت روحي بخالصها، درا زكيا طهورا صافيا رطبا. وفيك ظلت أغنيها بقافية، شأت على كل من غنى ومن طربا. في يوم ميلادك الأسماء أرددها، على المسامع تجلو الهم والتعبا. يوم طلعت على الدنيا فراح به، يزهو الوجود وابدى ثوبه القشبا. يوم لتكتم حيث الفضل تكسبه، وفي سباق المعالي تحرز القصبا، والكاظم الغيظ يحيي ذكره خلف، صب الإمامة يتلوه بها عقبا. سبحان ربك لم يترك شريعته نهبا، فأعطاك منه النصر والغلبا. أين الذي وسع الدنيا بما غنمت، يجبى الخراج له ما أمطر السحبا. وأين من كاد يبغي في حبائله غدر الرضا مذ له من داره جلبا. وقبلهم في الورى كانوا فراعنة، طواهم الدهر لا مجدا ولا حسبا. وذاك موسى وبرد الخلد جل له، وذا علي تسامى عزه قببا. فبالتقى هذه الآثار واضحة، أعلامها للهداة السادة النجبا. على الطريق مصابيح منورة، ما خاب من بهم استهدى وما نكبا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، أرواحنا له فداء. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقال الملك ائتوني به أستخلصه لنفسي، فلما كلمه قال إنك اليوم لدينا مكين أمين. قال اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And again, I give my congratulations to all of you on the auspicious occasion which we have come to celebrate, and that is the birthday of Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi salatu wasalam. As we mentioned, that there are many aspects of the life of this Imam that we can benefit. As we mentioned yesterday, one of the spiritual and ethical aspects of his life that we can benefit from by reciting the Quran at night, by contemplating the reality of heaven and hell, paradise and hell, and really assessing our actions, our choices, and whether it leads to paradise or whether it leads to hell. Another aspect of the life of Imam Ridha alayhi salatu that we can benefit from is his social political life. And as we know that Imam Ridha, he was called or summoned to Khurasan by Ma'mun to be his advisor and successor. And by that means, Imam Ridha, to some extent, was involved in the, you could say, political life of the Dawlat of Ma'mun. And this is one of the questions that many of the believers, they ask and they inquire about, that how exactly do we engage civilly? So Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi wasalam, he provides for us a good criterion, especially in one of the traditions or narrations that is related to him. And this is a longer tradition, but I want to just recite a part of it. And it is a tradition which Ahmed ibn Umar and Hussein ibn Thuwair, these are two companions and of Imam Ridha, and two of the Shias, the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salatu wasalam, they came to Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi complaining about their social and financial situation, that it was good at one point and they were affluent, but due to the circumstances and the time, and as we will point out as well, the government's position against those individuals who are followers of Ahlul Bayt, so their situation deteriorated. So they asked Imam Ridha to make dua for them, that they again become more affluent. And so Imam Ridha alayhi he questioned them whether they wanted to be like another two individuals who had become the followers of Ahlul Bayt, Tahir and Haruthama. These were two individuals who were actually working in the government of Ma'mun. And after encountering Imam Ridha alayhi and engaging with Imam Ridha, they ended up becoming the followers of Imam Ridha. They embraced the walayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhi. Yet they continued to stay in their positions and to do whatever they could to alleviate some of the oppression that was going on. A very tough job and situation indeed. And so Imam Ridha he asks Ahmed ibn Umar and Hussein ibn Thuwair, do they want to be like Tahir and Haruthama? And in fact, the Imam, he was indicating that these two individuals, Ahmed ibn Umar and Hussein ibn Thuwair, that they would not have the same resolve that Tahir and Haruthama would have in that position. And so these two themselves, they recognized and they said, no, we don't want to be like that. So Imam Sadiq, Imam Ridha told them to be patient. And then he related this statement from Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, which gives us a beautiful criterion about our own desires to be engaged civilly with our society. So Imam Ridha told them, after encouraging them to be patient and to make dua for their sustenance, Imam Ridha said, "Man radiya bil qalili min al-rizq, qabila Allahu minhu al-yasir min al-amal." Says, whoever is content with whatever they make, whatever little they make from halal sustenance, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept from them the most simplest of actions. وَمَنْ رَضِيَ بِالْيَسِيرِ مِنَ الْحَلَالِ خَفَّتْ مَؤُونَتُهُ وَتَنَعَّمَ أَهْلُهُ وَبَصَّرَهُ اللَّهُ دَاءَ الدُّنْيَا وَدَوَاءَهَا وَأَخْرَجَهُ مِنْهَا سَالِمًا إِلَى دَارِ السَّلَامِ. So the Imam says that, and whoever is pleased with a little from what is halal, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make that person's burden light, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless that individual's family. And the third thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do for that individual is that He will give that person insight to the ailments of this world and its cure. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fourth thing, will remove him from this dunya, again, when it's his time to transition from this worldly life to the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make that transition a transition by which that individual will enter into Dar es-Salam. So he will leave from this world in peace. وَأَخْرَجَهُ مِنْهَا مِنَ الدُّنْيَا سَالِمًا. That person will leave from this dunya in a state of peace and tranquility, ila Dar es-Salam, to the abode of peace and tranquility. So this is a very beautiful statement by Imam Ridha alayhi salatu wasalam with regards to our civil engagement. How so? In this, we see that the Imam, he's giving insight that first and foremost, our rizq and our sustenance and whatever we earn in this world should be halal, even if it's a little. And by doing so, then our burden would be light. Not only will our burden be light, it will be sufficient for ourselves and for our family. But here is where our aspect of civil engagement will come from. First, it comes from living correctly, living based on halal, living in a manner that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see us live. And then, as a benefit of that, as the Imam, he states, وَبَصَّرَهُ اللَّهُ دَاءَ الدُّنْيَا وَدَوَاءَهَا. So then we will see and have insight to the elements of this world and its cure. So in fact, this is what any person who wants to civilly engage should be looking at. What are the shortcomings within the society? What are the ills of that society? And how exactly do we cure those societies? But the first step for us to actually engage civilly is to live by that creed, as Imam Ridha alayhi had said before, that La ilaha illallah. Live by that creed of La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah hisni, as he relates back to the Prophet of Allah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him that the fortress of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is La ilaha illallah, and whoever enters that fortress is safeguarded from Allah's punishment. But of course, that is with the conditions, and that conditions is the walayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salatu wasalam. So one who lives in this manner, lives by that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants him or her to live, then they will gain that insight. And then they will be able to, insha'Allah, be able to provide the solution and resolutions for those situations. And this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He also points out to us in the Quran. If we go to verse 54 of Surah Yusuf, that's chapter 12 of the Quran, verse 54, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He narrates Yusuf's civil engagement with the society of his time, which at that time, those individuals in Misr, in Egypt, they were not Muslim. They were not even muwahideen. They were not those individuals who had worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the Prophet Yusuf, he found in this way of being engaged a manner in order to do tabligh, in order to introduce the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to introduce the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we know the story of Yusuf, that he was imprisoned, and as he came out of prison, and again his imprisonment was based on taqwa, because he refused to live in a manner and to engage in any action that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was displeased with. And so, as Yusuf said, that sijn was better, that to be in prison is better than to engage in those actions. And so then when he interpreted the dream of the king, which was something that would save the entire nation, the king, he asks for Yusuf to come. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he narrates in verse 54, Surah Yusuf, وَقَالَ الْمَلَكُ ائْتُونِي بِهِ أَسْتَخْلِصْهُ لِنَفْسِي. The king said that, bring him to me, bring Yusuf to me. And this is similar that Ma'mun, he called Imam Ridha alayhi wasallam, but we'll show what the difference is. So the king, he called for Yusuf. He summoned Yusuf. And he said that, أَسْتَخْلِصْهُ لِنَفْسِي. I will make him my personal put him in my personal service. I will benefit, again, what he's indicating, that he will benefit from the knowledge of Yusuf, he will benefit from the khibra, the experience of Yusuf, and whatever insight that Yusuf had, alayhi salam. On the other hand, Ma'mun was not interested in truly benefiting from the presence of Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha in order to correct the ills of the society. The Ma'mun was simply calling Imam Ridha to try to quash some of the rebellions that had rose up against the oppression of the Abbasid government. And so he thought by having Imam Ridha there that some of these rebellions would die down, because most of the rebellions were by individuals who were lovers of Ahlul Bayt, who had claimed to be the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salam. But here, when the king, he summoned Yusuf, he says, Astakhlishu li nafsi, that he is looking towards the ikhlas of Hazrat Yusuf, in order to benefit from him. Ma'mun, on the other hand, was not looking towards that. In fact, Ma'mun quite often was trying to see if there was someone who could trump or supersede the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt, even though he knew that this would be an impossible feat, but nonetheless he perhaps had a very small sense of hope that this will happen. And this is why time and time again he would call people to engage in debate and discussion with Imam Ridha. One of those individuals, as we mentioned yesterday, Sulaiman al-Muruzi. So there were two different reasons for which, again, the king or someone who is in authority, one calling the Prophet Yusuf and Ma'mun calling Imam Ridha, that one was sincere in his seeking knowledge and understanding, and the other was not. فَلَمَّا كَلَّمَهُ, and so when the king, he spoke with Yusuf, or they engaged in discussions, قَالَ إِنَّكَ الْيَوْمَ لَدَيْنَا مَكِينٌ أَمِينٌ. So the king says, you're in a very safe space, you're trusted, and you are in our favor. Again, not so much the case with Imam Ali bin Musa Ridha, as we see eventually it led to his shahada, but Imam Ridha, he understood this. When Yusuf, he entered and he came with the king, in verse 55 of Surah Yusuf, Allah explains that Yusuf, he requested the king of something. He says, قَالَ جَعَلْنِي عَلَى خَزَائِنِ الْأَرْضِ إِنِّي حَفِيظٌ عَلِيمٌ. Yusuf, he requested the king to make him the overseer, the treasurer of the land. And he says, and you will find me that I am truthful, I am prudent, and I am full of knowledge, and I will be careful with this. He's able to manage this situation. So here we see that Yusuf, in a situation, engaging civilly in a society and within a government that doesn't have tawheed. But this was a way for Yusuf to fulfill his divine responsibility to advocate justice and to correct the wrongs of the society. And of course, Yusuf had to have those traits, as we mentioned before. And as Imam Ridha alayhi wasallam, he pointed out in his advice to Ahmed ibn Umar and Hussein ibn Thawayr, that again, the first step is to live correctly, to live in a manner that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see you live. So Yusuf, he found this opportunity to, again, establish his responsibility. And part of that responsibility, in order to correct the ills of the society, was to correct the economic situation of the society. In fact, in most situations, in most places and societies that we see that there's corruption, and there are people that are disenfranchised, is due to the economic situations, or either the control of economics. That some individuals, they will be greedy and try to hoard as much of the wealth of that country or that place or of that society, leaving everyone else in disenfranchised, leaving people at their mercy, or even using the wealth to control other individuals by sharing a little bit, not enough to supersede their wealth and their control, but a little bit to others in order to control someone who is less fortunate than themselves. So always when we see who is disenfranchised or what is the corruption, then if you follow, as they say, they follow the money trail, see where, who's controlling the economics, and whether the wealth. And this is a very interesting point when we look at the divine structure of a society or a governance, which Yusuf, even under the authority of the king at that time, that he was enacting and establishing, because he was the treasurer, to make sure that everyone in that society was benefiting from their taxes. And again, if we understand the story of Hazrat Yusuf, was that people were putting away and storing their grain because the drought would be coming. So there will be some years of harvesting that will be great, but then they had to store, and again, the government had to take taxes or take some of the grain from them to prepare for when the drought came. And when those taxes or those grains were being stored, it will be evened out to the people so that everyone would benefit, everyone would survive the drought. So Yusuf, he was fulfilling that divine responsibility of establishing justice. And one of the ways of establishing that justice is to make sure that there's economic justice, that there's financial justice, that one group is not disenfranchised. One of the points that we can make is that when we look, it did not make the people who were wealthy less wealthy, but what it did, it was something that created justice so that even the poor were able to survive the drought. The wealthy still remained wealthy. Those individuals who were empowered, or they had what we call sulta, they had authority, they had influence, they still had their sulta, they still had their influence, they still had their authority, but Yusuf, alayhi salam, he enacted justice. We find also in the life of Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi salatu wasalam, as we said, that Ma'mun summoned Imam Ridha to Khurasan on the pretext that the Imam would be his advisor and also succeed him. In one case, one instance where the Imam, he was speaking to one of his companions and telling him about one of the propositions of Ma'mun, that after some of the rebellions had begun to flare up during the time of Ma'mun, he asked Imam Ridha alayhi salam to secure some of the places. He says, why don't you appoint someone to a particular town or a particular place, area, that this individual will govern there. And perhaps by this individual governing in this place, that some of what Ma'mun considered, he says, some of the corruption there was not necessarily corruption, it was the rebellion against Ma'mun. He said, this will die down. So Imam Ridha alayhi salam stated that he responded to Ma'mun, he says, tafili wa afilak. He says, honor my requests, my request or my acceptance of this position, and I will honor your request for me to even come. فإني إنما دخلت فيما دخلت على أن لا آمر فيه ولا أنهى ولا أعزل ولا أولي ولا أسير. So he says that when you summoned me here to Khurasan, then I accepted this. I embraced this position that you offered me. He says, on the condition that I would not give any commands, nor would I issue any prohibitions, any edicts, and I will not put anyone in place of any of authority, nor would I remove someone from a position of authority. That this was my condition. So the Imam, he says, so you abide by that condition that we've given, and I will also abide by what I have stated. So this is also another, you can say, an element in a direct way that if a person wants to be civilly engaged, that they have to have this quality of being wafin. They have to be someone who is honoring their words. So if they said that they would do something, then they have to be wafi. They have to honor what they have stated. They have to honor their agreements and their pacts. So Imam Ridha alayhi salam, he says, he's never thought about the khilafah. He says, فَوَاللَّهِ إِنَّ الْخِلَافَةَ لَشَيْءٌ مَا حَدَّثْتُ بِهِ نَفْسِي. And he tells Ma'mun this, and part of his response, he says that, look, I never considered even to become the Khalifa. This is not even a part of my thought. Again, Imam Ridha alayhi salam, understanding the magnitude of what was going on at that time and the corruption that had been established by that time, he says, look, this is not something I had even spoke to myself about, or even imagined that I would be in that position in order to take over. Again, and he mentions that I will be before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to answer for all of these. Again, Imam Ridha in his statement, kind of warning or hinting at Ma'mun that he needs to correct his actions, to listen to the advice of the Imam. Whereas we find the king of Misr, when he invited Yusuf, that this is his position, his disposition, that he would listen to Yusuf. But Ma'mun, on the other hand, was not. Imam Ridha in his response to Ma'mun and that request, he continues and he speaks about his state prior to coming to Khurasan. He says, وَلَقَدْ كُنْتُ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ أَتَرَدَّدُ فِي طُرُقِهَا عَلَى دَابَّتِي وَإِنَّ أَهْلَهَا وَغَيْرَهُمْ يَسْأَلُونَنِ الْحَوَائِجْ فَأَقَضِيهَا. He says that, look, when I was in Medina, I would go around Medina, be in Medina. He says, and the people of Medina, and also the people who were not from Medina, but they will come into Medina, they will ask me for their needs. And I would grant their needs. I will fulfill their request. Then he says, and these individuals became for me kal-a'mam. They became like my relatives, like my cousins, and the elderly, my uncles. He says, this is what they have become. He says, وَإِنَّ كُتُبِي لَنَافِذَةٌ فِي الْأَمْصَارِ. He says, and when I wrote something, or when I said something, then what I stated would be listened to, and everyone would abide by that in the city and in other places, other cities. So Imam Ridha alayhi hafizatullah, on one hand, he's educating, or he's trying to give advice to Ma'mun, but also at the same time, any of us who want to civilly engage, he's giving us advice as well. That Imam Ridha, his method of being engaged or civilly engaged, he says, look, even when he didn't have this so-called political position that Ma'mun had given him, he says, I was among the people. I walked with the people. I listened to the people. They requested from me what their needs were. I heard what their needs were. And I did what I could فَأَقَضِيهَا, to fulfill their needs and their requests. And because he was with the people and they became like his family, they became like his people, he says, whenever I wrote something or I said something, he says, then my words were listened to. People heard me. People responded. But if you are someone who governs like other people govern, that they are aloof from the people, they don't hear the people, they're not engaged with the people, they do not respond to the request of the people, then of course you will have those rebellions to deal with, as Ma'mun had those rebellions to deal with. And then most importantly of all, what Imam Ridha alayhi hafizatullah, he responded to Ma'mun, he says, وَمَا زِدْتَنِي فِي نَعْمَةٍ هِيَ عَلَيَّ مِنْ رَبِّي. He says that, Ma'mun, that when you called me here to become this wazir, this advisor, and the successor, he says, مَا زِدْتَنِي فِي نَعْمَةٍ. He says, you do not give me any favor. That all the favors and the ni'mah, the blessings that I have, هِيَ عَلَيَّ مِنْ رَبِّي, is from my Lord, is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So likewise, we find that any individual who is a man of God, anyone who is awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anyone who's living their life as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to live, and they are civilly engaged, then they realize that, well, this position, if someone has given it to them, it's not a ni'mah from them. It's not a blessing from that individual. Whatever they're given is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just as Yusuf also, when he engaged in Misr, that engagement and that position, as we say, did not go to his head. That position, he understood it as a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the opportunity to express to those individuals who did not know the correct path to take in establishing justice. It was a moment, it was a blessing from Allah for him to be able to deliver that justice, that concept and idea of justice. So Imam Ridha, he spoke this and he gave this message to Ma'mun that no, he will not do anything to appoint someone or not appoint anyone. This was Ma'mun's responsibility, and had he truly listened to Imam Ridha alayhi, the rebellions that had rose up against the oppression of the Abbasid government would have kind of subsided. But that oppression, to give one example of this, was such that one of the followers of Ahlul Bayt, or one of the individuals that I believe he was one of the distant relatives of the Bani Hashim, of the Imams, by the name of Abu Saraya. He was one of those individuals that led the rebellion against Ma'mun. He had traveled to Medina to gather individuals and also to see the state of the followers of Ahlul Bayt after Imam Ridha alayhi left from Medina. That what is the state of those individuals who follow Ahlul Bayt? We went there to gather men. Then he went to Kufa to gather individuals as well. And a couple of places where there was led, it was one in Kufa, one in Yemen during the time of Ma'mun. So Abu Saraya says that when he went to Kufa to see the state of the followers of Ahlul Bayt there and to gather men to oppose the oppression of Ma'mun, of the Abbasid government at that time, he said he noticed one day that as he's walking in the streets of Kufa, an elderly woman, she is walking behind a cart that's being pulled by horses, and the cart is a date transporter. So date farmers, they have harvested their dates, and now they are taking it to the market or outside the city. But as they are traveling, the dates are falling off. A few dates here and there are falling off of the cart. And so this lady, elderly lady, she's walking behind them, picking up the dates and putting it in a sack. So he observes this and he goes to this elderly woman and he asks her, he says, what is going on? Why are you doing this? So this elderly woman, she responded that she did not have a husband. She was widowed. And she has daughters, and there's no protector for her, no protector for her daughters, no one to be able to take care of them. So she was doing this in order to make a livelihood for herself. He said that Abu Saraya, when he heard this, it brought him to tears. And he promised this elderly woman, he said that, listen, I will do something to try to resolve this. And so he led one of the revolts, and we find that also in some of the revolts, individuals like Muhammad ibn Muhammad ibn Zayd, ibn Ali Zayn al-Abidin, the basically great-grandson of Imam Zayn al-Abidin. He was also martyred. Also Abu Saraya was also martyred, trying to offset the oppression that had existed at that time. And as we see in this example, the economic situation was such that this lady, this elderly lady, she's going around collecting dates that are falling off a cart in order to improve her situation. And this was one of the methods of Ma'mun, or the government, Abbasid government, to keep the followers of Ahlul Bayt disenfranchised. Again, we saw the example of Ahmed ibn Umar and Hussein ibn Thuwayr, who came to the Imam complaining about their situation. And so we see that one of the hikmah and the wisdoms of how Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi, he engaged, and also in an effort to correct the disenfranchisement of the Shia at that time, or anyone who had loved and followed the Ahlul Bayt alayhi, what is narrated to him, at least in his some of the rulings that was ascribed to the Imam, he stated that when a person would give the zakat, he says, إِيَّاكَ أن تعطي الزكاة زكاة مالك غير أهل الولاية. So this is one of the messages that the Imam he used. He says that if or he says, beware and be wary. Do not give the zakat of mal, that a person, if they were taking out the zakat on their cattle, they were taking out the zakat on their wheats and their grains that they were farming. He says, do not give the zakat to ghayra ahl al-wilaya, to other than those individuals who follow the wilayat of Ahlul Bayt, or who love and are connected to the wilayat of Ahlul Bayt. And this is because they were being disenfranchised by the Abbasid government. The zakat was being withheld from them. So Imam Ridha alayhi hafizatullah, he gave this order in order for the wealth to circulate among the followers of Ahlul Bayt. Even to the point that, again, there were some engagements where the Imam, he would say that if someone had died among the mu'mineen, and again, he's speaking about those individuals who are Ahlul Wilaya, and you wanted to give them kafan and dafn, he says, use your zakat to give them kafan and dafn. Even to the point, he says, even if some other people had contributed to the family in order to give them their deceased ones the kafan and dafn, he says, you give your money to them to pay for the burial, the kafan and dafn, and you let them use the other money for their own needs in order to improve their situation, as he says, لِيُصْلِحُوا بِهِ شَأْنَهُمْ, so that their situation would improve. So this is how Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha alayhi hafizatullah, he engaged civilly, on one hand, as we see, trying to bring about economic justice, and also trying to advise Ma'mun, who unfortunately would not listen to the Imam. So in summary, if we are to engage civilly, first and foremost, we must live by the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants us to live. Be among those individuals who are sadiq, who are ameen, who are truthful, who are trustworthy. Be among those individuals who are wafin, who are honest to our words and what we engage. But also, more importantly, as Imam Ridha alayhi hafizatullah, he stated that we should be those individuals who listen to the people, listen to the needs of the people, and make every effort to respond to their needs and to fulfill their needs. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us success and help in this manner to civilly engage, and particularly in a manner that we are taught by Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salatu wassalam. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.